The massive viewing screen filled the conference room aboard Earth's diplomatic vessel. Captain Sarah Chen stood rigid, watching as the alien structure came into view. The Galactic Council's station hung in space like a metal flower, its petals stretching for hundreds of kilometers around a blazing neutron star. She had seen pictures, but nothing prepared her for the real thing. Beautiful, isn't it? Ambassador David Okonkwo said beside her. His dark suit was freshly pressed, his expression calm. Only his hands, clasped too tightly behind his back, betrayed his nervousness. "It's big," Chen replied. "That's what worries me." She was right to worry. The first meeting went badly. The council chamber was enormous, designed to hold representatives from 47 different alien species. Humans got 3 seats near the back, in a section reserved for what the aliens called emerging civilizations. It was a polite way of saying primitives. The High Arbiter, a creature named Zalthun, looked like a massive bird covered in silver feathers. His species had been traveling through space for 10,000 years. He barely glanced at the human delegation when he spoke. "You may petition for client status," Zalthun announced, his voice translated through devices embedded in the walls. "Your species will receive protection and guidance. In exchange, you will provide resources and labor as directed by this council." Ambassador Okonkwo stood slowly. "With respect, High Arbiter, Earth seeks partnership, not servitude." A sound rippled through the chamber. It took Chen a moment to realize the aliens were laughing. "Partnership." Zalthun's head tilted. "You have possessed faster-than-light travel for what? 3 of your years? My people mastered it before your ancestors walked upright. You have nothing to offer but obedience." "Then we respectfully decline," Okonkwo said, his voice steady. The laughter stopped. Zalthun's feathers ruffled in what might have been surprise or anger. "You decline? You do not understand. This is not negotiation. This is how things are done. You are children playing with technology you barely comprehend. Accept our protection, or face the consequences of your pride." The meeting ended there. The human delegation returned to their ship in silence. Chen wanted to say something encouraging, but words failed her. They had traveled 20 light years hoping for friendship among the stars. Instead, they found an empire. 3 days later, the enforcement fleet arrived at Earth's solar system. 12 massive warships, each one larger than anything humanity had ever built. They positioned themselves around the asteroid belt and sent a single message. "You have 30 days to accept client status. Further resistance will be met with appropriate force." Admiral Marcus Webb commanded the defense platforms orbiting Mars. He was Chen's mentor, the man who had taught her everything about space warfare. Now he watched helplessly as a council warship approached the red planet. "They're locking weapons on the colony," his sensor officer reported. "Raise shields." Prepared, the council ship fired. There were no shields strong enough, no armor thick enough. The beam cut through Mars Colony 7 like a knife through paper. 50,000 people lived there, scientists, engineers, families. In 3 seconds, they were gone. The colony's dome shattered, exposing the habitats to the thin Martian atmosphere. Buildings collapsed. People died screaming for help that would never come. Earth watched in horror as the footage spread across every screen, every device. The council broadcast it everywhere, making sure every human saw what happened when they disobeyed. "This is a demonstration of restraint," Zalthun's message said. "We could have chosen Earth itself. You have 27 days to make the correct decision." Ambassador Okonkwo tried everything. He sent messages to every council species, begging for mercy, offering trade agreements, asking for time. Some aliens responded with pity. Most responded with silence. A few sent messages congratulating the council on its firm handling of the human situation. Chen stood in the command center of Earth's United Defense Fleet headquarters, buried deep under the Colorado mountains. Around her, officers worked frantically, trying to calculate defense strategies. Everyone knew the truth. Earth had 30 warships. The Council had thousands. Human weapons were powerful, but Council shields were stronger. It was simple mathematics. Humanity would lose. Dr. Marcus Webb entered the room. He was a thin man with gray hair and tired eyes. He had aged 20 years in the past 3 days. His daughter had been on Mars. "They think we're weak," Webb said quietly. "We are weak," Chen replied. "Compared to them." "No." Webb pulled up a holographic display. "They think we're naive. They think we stumbled into space travel without understanding what we'd find. They're wrong." He showed her files marked with the highest security classification: Project Prometheus, Ghost Ship Initiative, Quantum Entanglement Weaponry. Names that meant nothing to her, connected to research she had never seen. "What am I looking at?" Chen asked. "Insurance," Webb said. "We knew first contact might go badly. We've seen our own history. We know what happens when advanced civilizations meet primitive ones, so we prepared." He explained it all. While Earth's diplomats smiled and talked about peace, Earth's scientists and military planners worked in secret. They developed weapons the Council had never seen. They built ships using principles the aliens had never discovered. They prepared for war while hoping for peace. "Can we win?" Chen asked. "Win?" Webb laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Admiral, we're about to teach the galaxy what happens when you provoke a species that spent 10,000 years perfecting warfare on a single planet. The Council has been at peace for so long, they've forgotten what war really means. We never forgot. We never stopped preparing." He pulled up a star chart showing Council space, 47 species spread across thousands of worlds. Red markers appeared on the display, dozens of them. "These are their military installations, shipyards, and command stations," Webb said. "We've been mapping them since we made first contact. In 27 days, if they don't leave our system, we're going to hit all of them at once." Chen stared at the display. "That's impossible. We don't have enough ships." "We do," Webb said. "They just don't know it yet." On the Council station, Zalthun watched reports about Earth's preparations. The humans were evacuating their cities, moving ships into defensive positions. They were going to fight. How amusing. How tragically pointless. "They have no idea what's coming," his military advisor said. Zalthun agreed. Neither did he. The facility didn't exist on any map. It was buried 3 kilometers under Antarctica's ice, in a place so remote that even satellites avoided looking too closely. Admiral Sarah Chen rode the elevator down for 10 minutes, watching the depth counter climb. Beside her, Dr. Marcus Webb stood quietly, lost in his thoughts. "How long has this place been operational?" Chen asked. 40 years, Webb replied. "We started building it after we detected the first alien signals from space. Some people said we were paranoid. Turns out we weren't paranoid enough." The elevator opened into a cavern the size of a small city. Chen's breath caught. Rows of spacecraft stretched into the distance, each one sleek and dark, covered in strange patterns that seemed to shift when she looked directly at them. They didn't look like any human ships she'd ever seen. "Welcome to Project Prometheus," Webb said. "Humanity's insurance policy." A young woman in a white lab coat approached them. Her name tag read Dr. Jennifer Sato, Quantum Mechanics Division. She looked too young to be working on something this classified. But her eyes were sharp and focused. "Admiral Chen," Sato said. "Dr. Webb told me you needed a demonstration." "I need to understand what I'm looking at," Chen replied. Sato led them to an observation window overlooking a massive testing chamber. A single spacecraft hung in the center, held by magnetic clamps. It was small, maybe the size of a fighter jet, painted in that same shifting dark pattern. "The Council's technology is advanced," Sato began. "But it's old. They've been using the same basic principles for thousands of years. Faster than light travel, energy shields, plasma weapons. They perfected these things and stopped innovating. Why improve what already works? And we did something different?" Chen asked. "We had to," Sato said. "We were starting from behind. Copying their technology would leave us weaker forever, so we went in a different direction." She pressed a button. The spacecraft in the chamber activated. Its engines glowed with a strange blue light. Then something impossible happened. The ship flickered like a bad video signal. For a moment, Chen saw 3 ships, then 7, then hundreds, all occupying the same space. "Quantum entanglement," Sato explained. "The Council uses it for communication. We weaponized it. That ship exists in multiple probability states simultaneously. To an enemy, it appears to be in dozens of places at once. Their targeting systems can't lock on because there's no single target to lock onto." The ship vanished completely, then reappeared on the other side of the chamber instantly. No travel time. It simply stopped existing in one place and started existing in another. "We call them ghost ships," Webb said. "They can cross a solar system in seconds. They can appear anywhere without warning. And we've built 300 of them." Chen felt her pulse quicken. 300 ships won't stop the Council's entire fleet. "They won't have to," Webb said. He pulled up a holographic tactical display. The Council is spread thin. They're an empire, not an army. They have military bases, sure, but most of their forces are scattered across thousands of systems doing peacekeeping and patrol work. Their strength is their reputation. Nobody fights the Council because everyone knows the Council can't lose. Until now, Chen said softly. Until now, Webb agreed. We're not going to fight their entire fleet. We're going to do what humans do best. We're going to hit them where it hurts all at once before they know what's happening. Over the next week, Chen studied everything. She learned about the quantum torpedoes that could phase through shields. She learned about the AI systems that could hack Council computers faster than any organic mind could respond. She learned about weapons that the Council had theorized but never built because they considered them too cruel. The relativistic kill missiles, Webb said during one briefing, travel at 99.9% of light speed. At that velocity, a projectile the size of a telephone pole hits with the force of a nuclear weapon. There's no defense. By the time you see it coming, it's already hit you. That's a planet killer, Chen said, horrified. Yes, and we have 100 of them in orbit right now aimed at Council worlds. We'll never fire them, but the Council doesn't know that. The threat alone will be enough. Chen understood the strategy. Humanity couldn't win a traditional war, but they could terrorize the Council into peace, show them something they'd never seen before, make them afraid. It's psychological warfare, she said. War is always psychological, Webb replied. Bullets and bombs are just tools. What matters is breaking the enemy's will to fight. The Council thinks we're primitives. We're going to show them that primitives are the most dangerous thing in the galaxy. In a secure facility on the moon, teams trained for the boarding operations. Earth's Marines were equipped with powered armor that made them faster and stronger than most alien species. They practiced fighting in zero gravity, in toxic atmospheres, in environments that would kill unprotected humans in seconds. They learned the layouts of Council ships from intelligence gathered during the diplomatic visits. One Marine, a sergeant named Rodriguez, asked his commander a question during training. Sir, are we really doing this? Are we attacking 47 different species at once? No, the commander replied. We're attacking their military installations. There's a difference. We're not monsters. We're not going to kill civilians, but we are going to destroy their ability to threaten us ever again. Back on Earth, civilian evacuations continued. Massive colony ships built in secret over decades departed for distant star systems that the Council didn't know about. Humanity was preparing for the worst. If the Council responded with total war, Earth might burn, but humanity would survive. Ambassador Okonkwo remained on the Council station, technically a prisoner, though the aliens called him a guest. He had access to communication equipment, all of it monitored. The Council thought he was sending desperate pleas for mercy. They were wrong. Every message contained hidden data, encrypted in patterns that looked like random noise. Fleet positions, shield frequencies, command codes that human intelligence had stolen from Council computers. Okonkwo was feeding Earth everything they needed for the attack. He sat in his quarters knowing that in 20 days everything would change. He thought about sending a final message to his daughter on Earth, but decided against it. If this went wrong, he wanted her last memory of him to be from before he became part of something terrible and necessary. High Arbiter Zalthun called him for another meeting on day 23. Your people are being foolish, Zalthun said. We detect military preparations. Do they truly believe they can resist? We believe in our right to exist as free beings, Okonkwo replied. Freedom is a luxury earned through strength, Zalthun said. Your species lacks that strength. In 7 days we will teach you this lesson properly. Your world will submit or your world will burn. Okonkwo smiled, and it was not a pleasant smile. Your Excellency, with all respect, you have no idea what you've started. Zalthun dismissed him with a wave. The human was delusional. They all were. 7 days from now, Earth would kneel. The Council had never lost a war. They never would. In the depths of space, human ghost ships moved into position, invisible to Council sensors waiting for the order to strike. Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of humanity's flagship, looking at the countdown timer. 7 days, 168 hours. Then the galaxy would learn what humans were really capable of. Are we ready? She asked Dr. Webb. As ready as we'll ever be, he replied. Chen nodded. Humanity had been ready for this moment since the first caveman looked at the stars and wondered what lived up there. They had prepared, they had planned, and now they would act. The council wanted to make them kneel. Instead, humanity would make the galaxy tremble. Day 30 arrived with no fanfare. The council's deadline had passed at midnight, Earth Standard Time. Admiral Sarah Chen sat in her command chair aboard the flagship Defiant, watching the clock tick over. Around her, the bridge crew worked in focused silence. Everyone knew what was coming. "All ghost ships report ready," the communications officer said. "Waiting for your order, Admiral." Chen looked at the tactical display. It showed 300 small dots scattered across 20 light-years of space. Each dot represented a human ghost ship, positioned near a council military installation. The council had no idea they were there. Their sensors couldn't detect the quantum signature. To them, space looked empty. "Dr. Webb, are you certain about the timing?" Chen asked. Webb stood beside her, his face pale but determined. "The quantum entanglement will synchronize the attacks. All 300 ships will strike within the same microsecond, regardless of distance. It will look like humanity teleported an entire fleet across the galaxy." "Good," Chen said. She opened a channel to all human forces. "This is Admiral Chen. For the past month, we've endured threats and watched our people die. The council thought we would surrender. They were wrong. Today we show them what happens when you push humanity too far. All ships execute Operation Prometheus." She pressed the button. Across council space, chaos erupted simultaneously. At the Cathari shipyards near the Galactic core, 3 ghost ships appeared inside the construction facility. They fired quantum torpedoes that phased through the station's shields like they didn't exist. Explosions tore through the docks, destroying half-built warships. Alarms screamed. Cathari workers fled in panic. At the Vraxian Military Academy on Vraxis Prime, ghost ships materialized in orbit and launched electromagnetic pulse weapons. The planet's power grid died instantly. Their orbital defense platforms went dark. Students and instructors watched helplessly as human ships dominated the sky above their world. At the Council's central communications hub, the AI warfare package activated. Human-designed computer viruses, more sophisticated than anything the Council had seen, infiltrated their networks in seconds. Council commanders tried to send orders to their fleets and got error messages instead. Their tactical displays showed false information. Their communication channels filled with a single message, repeated in 47 languages. "You wanted war. Here it is." High Arbiter Zalthun was in his private chambers when the attacks began. His security chief burst through the door, feathers ruffled in distress. "Your Excellency, we're under attack. Multiple systems reporting enemy vessels. Our forces are confused. The attacks are happening everywhere at once. This should be impossible." Zalthun rushed to the command center. The massive holographic display showed red warning icons spreading across the galaxy like a plague. Every major Council military installation was either under attack or already destroyed. His 47-species empire was burning, and he had no idea how. "Where did these ships come from?" he demanded. "We don't know," his military coordinator said, all 4 of his arms shaking. "They appeared without warning. Our sensors never detected them. They're using weapons that bypass our shields. Your Excellency, we're defenseless." On the Defiant, Chen watched the reports flow in. The operation was working better than anyone had dared hope. Human forces were taking minimal damage while Council installations fell one after another. The ghost ships moved too fast, hit too hard. Council defenders couldn't track targets that existed in multiple quantum states simultaneously. "Admiral, the enforcement fleet around Earth is attempting to retreat," her tactical officer reported. Chen smiled coldly. "Don't let them. Send the coordinates to Strike Team 7. 12 ghost ships materialized around the Council fleet that had blockaded Earth's solar system for 30 days. The alien warships suddenly found themselves surrounded by enemies that shouldn't exist. Human vessels appeared, fired, and vanished before the Council ships could return fire. Within minutes, 3 Council warships were destroyed. The rest tried to run. "They're activating their FTL drives," the tactical officer said. "Jam them," Chen ordered. Human electronic warfare systems locked onto the fleeing ships, scrambling their faster-than-light navigation. The Council warships were trapped, unable to escape, unable to fight. One by one, they signaled surrender. "Take their surrender," Chen said. "Board the vessels and secure them. No unnecessary casualties." At the Council station where Ambassador Okonkwo was held, the situation went from bad to worse. Human Marines in powered armor breached the station through a docking port. They moved through the corridors like ghosts themselves, their armor's camouflage systems making them nearly invisible. Council security forces fired wildly at shadows and hit nothing. Okonkwo heard the fighting getting closer to his quarters. He sat calmly waiting. The door exploded inward and a Marine in black armor entered, weapon raised. "Ambassador Okonkwo?" the Marine asked. "That's me. Sir, we're here to extract you. Please come with us." They moved through the station, past disabled security systems and stunned alien guards. Okonkwo noticed that the Marines only used non-lethal weapons. They weren't here to kill. They were here to prove a point. They reached the command center. High Arbiter Zalthun stood there, surrounded by human Marines. His silver feathers were dull with fear. He looked at Okonkwo with something like disbelief. "How?" Zalthun asked. "Your species barely has FTL technology. This is impossible." Okonkwo approached him slowly. "You made assumptions, Your Excellency. You assumed we were primitive because we were new to space. You assumed we were weak because we asked for peace. You were wrong on both counts." "This is an act of war," Zalthun said, but his voice shook. "No," Okonkwo replied. "This is a response to your act of war. You destroyed Mars Colony 7. You killed 50,000 civilians. You blockaded our world and threatened extinction. We tried diplomacy. You chose violence. Now you're experiencing what happens when humanity chooses violence in return." He gestured to a view screen. It showed the tactical situation across Council space. Red markers everywhere. The Council's military strength, built over millennia, was being dismantled in hours. "Your forces are crippled," Okonkwo said. "We've destroyed or captured your primary military installations. Your communications are compromised. Your command structure is chaos. We did this in one day, Your Excellency. Imagine what we could do in a week, a month, a year." Zalthun's legs gave out. He collapsed into a chair, staring at the display. "You're going to exterminate us." "No," Okonkwo said firmly. "We're not you. We're not going to commit genocide, but we are going to make sure you never threaten us again." He pulled up another display, this one showing Earth. A countdown timer appeared, with coordinates pointing to several Council homeworlds. "These are relativistic kill missiles," Okonkwo explained. "Projectiles traveling at near light speed. Each one has enough kinetic energy to sterilize a planet. We have them aimed at your 47 homeworlds right now. We're not going to fire them. But you need to understand that we could. In the time it would take your people to detect the launch, your worlds would already be dead." Zalthun made a sound like a wounded bird. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because you need to understand what you provoked," Okonkwo said. "Humanity spent 10,000 years at war with itself. We perfected killing. We created weapons so terrible that we agreed never to use them. Then we reached the stars, hoping to find something better. Instead, we found you. An empire so comfortable in its power that it forgot what real war looks like." He leaned closer. "You wanted to make us your clients, your servants. You thought we'd be grateful for your protection. But we don't need your protection. We never did. What we needed was respect. And since you wouldn't give it to us, we took it." Across the galaxy, Council species watched in shock as reports came in. The humans, those primitive newcomers, had done the impossible. They had attacked the Council itself and won. 47 species that had lived in peace for thousands of years now faced a terrible question. What do we do about humanity? Some wanted revenge. Others wanted surrender. A few saw opportunity. If humanity could defeat the Council, maybe they could defeat the elder species that had dominated the galaxy for so long. On the Defiant, Chen received a message from Earth's government. It was time for Phase 2. She opened a channel that broadcast to every Council world simultaneously. "People of the galaxy," she said. "This is Admiral Sarah Chen of Earth's United Defense Fleet. Today, humanity defended itself against aggression. We did not want this war. We asked for peace and received death. We will not apologize for our survival, but we will offer you a choice. Surrender your military forces, accept Earth as an equal member of the galactic community, or continue this war and discover what happens when you fight a species that never stops adapting, never stops improving, and never forgives threats to its existence. You have 24 hours to decide." The message ended. The galaxy held its breath, trembling. The first to respond was the Ythrian Collective, a species of crystalline beings who had always chafed under Council rule. Their message arrived 6 hours after Admiral Chen's broadcast. It was simple and direct. The Ythrians request alliance with humanity. We offer our shipyards and resources in exchange for protection from Council retaliation. Chen stood in the Defiance Command Center, reading the message with Dr. Webb at her side. They're breaking ranks already, she said. Can you blame them? Webb replied. We just did something nobody thought possible. We made the Council look weak. Now everyone's wondering if they need to pick the winning side before it's too late. More messages arrived throughout the day. The Drellian Empire asked for a ceasefire to discuss terms. The Corthan Assembly declared neutrality and requested that human forces bypass their territory. 3 minor species that had been client states under the Council officially requested to switch their allegiance to Earth, but not everyone was ready to surrender. The Kravik Dominion, one of the elder species and the Council's most aggressive military power, sent a different kind of message. Their war fleet, 200 ships strong, was heading toward Earth at maximum speed. They'll reach our solar system in 72 hours, the tactical officer reported. Admiral, that's more ships than we've ever faced at once. Chen studied the tactical display. The Kravik were known for their brutal efficiency in warfare. They didn't use fancy technology like quantum weapons or ghost ships. They relied on overwhelming firepower and armored hulls thick enough to shrug off most weapons. Fighting them would be like fighting a hammer with a knife. How many ghost ships can we pull from other operations? Chen asked. Maybe 50, Webb said. But that's not enough. The Kravik shields can handle quantum torpedoes better than most species. They've been preparing for advanced warfare for centuries. Chen thought for a moment. Then we don't fight them with ghost ships. We fight them with fear. She opened a secure channel to Earth's Weapons Research Division. This is Admiral Chen. I need you to prepare a demonstration, the most terrifying thing we have. On the Council station, High Arbiter Zalthun watched his empire crumble. Species that had followed the Council's leadership for millennia were now questioning orders. Alliance structures that had stood for thousands of years were fracturing. And it was all because of one species that had been in space for less than a decade. Ambassador Okonkwo entered his chamber. The human looked tired but determined. Your Excellency, we need to talk. What more can you take from us? Zalthun asked bitterly. Nothing, Okonkwo said. I'm here to offer you something. A way to end this without more death. He pulled up a holographic document. This is Earth's proposal for a new galactic order. The Council system ends. In its place, we establish a true galactic senate where every species gets an equal vote. No more client states. No more elder species ruling over younger ones. Everyone equal. Zalthun laughed, but it was a hollow sound. And who enforces this equality? You? The humans who just terrorized the entire galaxy? Yes, Okonkwo said simply. Because we can and because we will. You had your chance to be fair. You chose domination. Now humanity will ensure fairness whether you like it or not. And if we refuse? Okonkwo's expression hardened. Then we continued demonstrating why that would be a mistake. The Kravik fleet was 3 light years from Earth when they received a strange message. It appeared on every ship's communication system simultaneously, bypassing all security protocols. The message was a video showing a barren moon in an uninhabited star system, time-stamped to 20 minutes earlier. Admiral Sarah Chen's face appeared on screen. This is a demonstration of restraint, she said. What you're about to see is what we could do to any of your worlds. We choose not to. Remember that? The video cut to a view of space. Something small and dark streaked across the screen, moving so fast it was almost invisible. Then the moon exploded. Not a crater, not damage. The entire moon, thousands of kilometers across, simply disintegrated into expanding clouds of debris and vapor. The kinetic energy of the impact had been so massive that the moon's material had been converted to plasma. That was a relativistic kill missile traveling at 99.9% of light speed. Chen's voice continued. We have hundreds of them. Your fleet is currently 3 light years from Earth. At this range, if we fired at you now, you would have approximately 4 days to see it coming and no way to stop it. Your shields cannot stop something moving that fast. Your weapons cannot intercept it. By the time your sensors detect the launch, it's already too late. The video showed calculations, demonstrating how long each Kravik ship would have to detect and avoid the missile. The math was brutal and clear. They would all die. But we're not going to fire, Chen said. Because unlike you, we understand mercy. Turn your fleet around, go home. Tell your leaders that Earth is offering peace, but we're prepared for war. The choice is yours. The Kravik admiral, a scarred veteran named Krask, watched the video 3 times. He had fought in 17 major battles across 2 centuries. He had never retreated from a fight. But he had also never faced an enemy that could destroy his entire fleet before he even knew he was under attack. He made the call. All ships reverse course. Return to Kravik space. His second officer stared at him in shock. Admiral, we outnumber them. We can overwhelm their defenses. And lose every ship in the process, Krask replied. Watch the video again. That moon was solid rock and it vaporized instantly. Our armor means nothing against that kind of power. The humans aren't bluffing. They're showing us mercy by not using those weapons. I'm not stupid enough to make them change their minds. News of the Kravik retreat spread across the galaxy in hours. The most aggressive military power in Council space had turned away from Earth without firing a shot. The message was clear. Humanity had weapons that couldn't be defended against, and they were willing to use them if pushed. More species began sending surrender offers. The Council's unity collapsed completely. Elder species that had ruled for millennia found themselves isolated and vulnerable. Younger species saw an opportunity for freedom. Within 48 hours of humanity's first strike, the galactic political order had completely transformed. On the Council station, ambassadors from 20 different species gathered to discuss terms. They looked at Okonkwo nervously, as if he might order their execution at any moment. The human ambassador found it both satisfying and sad. They respected him now, but only because they feared what humanity could do. Gentlemen and ladies, Okonkwo said, using the translation devices to address all species at once. Earth does not want an empire. We don't want servants or clients. We want what we asked for from the beginning, equal partnership among the stars. A Vraxian diplomat, her scales pale with stress, spoke up. How can we trust that humans won't become the new council? You've demonstrated superior military power. What stops you from dominating us? Nothing, Okonkwo admitted, except our own morality. You'll have to trust that we mean what we say. And if we break that trust, then you'll know we're no better than the council was. He stood up, addressing the room. Here's what's going to happen. The council system is dissolved as of now. Every species that wants to join the new Galactic Senate can send representatives. Everyone gets one vote, regardless of how long you've been in space or how big your empire is. Human military forces will serve as peacekeepers until we can establish a multi-species security force. And in exchange, Earth wants full access to galactic trade networks, technology sharing agreements, and recognition as a sovereign power. And if we refuse? The Vraxian asked. Okonkwo smiled without humor. Then you'll be alone in a galaxy where humanity is the dominant military power. Your choice. One by one, the species agreed. Some did so eagerly, seeing it as liberation from the Council's control. Others agreed reluctantly, recognizing they had no real choice. By the end of the day, 37 species had signed Earth's proposal. Only 10 holdouts remained, mostly elder species too proud to admit defeat. High Arbiter Zalthun signed last. His hand shook as he marked the document. 10,000 years of avian dominance ended with a simple gesture. He looked at Okonkwo with something like hatred. You've destroyed everything we built, Zalthun said. No, Okonkwo replied. We destroyed your empire. That's not the same thing. Now we're going to build something better. Something that doesn't require client species and demonstrations of force. You can help us or you can retire, but either way the galaxy is changing. Admiral Chen received the news aboard the Defiant. The war was over. Humanity had won not through prolonged conflict, but through overwhelming demonstration of power and the strategic use of fear. They had shown the galaxy that humans were too dangerous to fight and too reasonable to fear, as long as you didn't threaten them. Dr. Webb stood beside her, looking at the same reports. We did it, he said quietly. We actually did it. We did, Chen agreed. But now comes the hard part. We have to prove we're not monsters. We have to build the peace we fought for. Webb nodded. Think we can do that? Chen thought about Mars Colony 7. About the 50,000 people who died because the Council wanted to make a point. About all the species across the galaxy who had lived under domination for so long they'd forgotten what freedom felt like. We have to, she said. Otherwise, we're just the new council, and everything we did was for nothing. 6 months had passed since the war that reshaped the galaxy. The old council station had been transformed into the Galactic Senate headquarters, a place where 47 species now met as equals, rather than masters and servants. The changes were visible everywhere. Where once only elder species had voice in decision-making, now every civilization had representatives and voting power. Ambassador David Okonkwo stood in what used to be the High Arbiter's private chamber. Now it was his office. The walls still bore marks from the fighting, scars that he'd asked to be left untouched. People needed to remember how this peace was won. A knock came at the door. Admiral Sarah Chen entered, now wearing a different uniform. She'd accepted the position of commander of the Joint Galactic Defense Force, a military organization composed of ships and personnel from multiple species. It was strange seeing Kravik warriors working alongside Vraxian technicians and human marines. But it was working. "The security report you asked for," Chen said, placing a data pad on his desk. "We've had 0 major conflicts in the past 3 months. Some minor disputes, but those were resolved through arbitration rather than force." Okonkwo read through the report. The numbers were good, but he knew peace was fragile. "How are the integration programs going?" "Better than expected," Chen replied. "We're training mixed crews on the new ghost ships. Turns out the Ythrians have a natural aptitude for quantum navigation. The Drellians are excellent at electronic warfare. Everyone brings something valuable to the table." She sat down, looking tired but satisfied. "It's strange, isn't it? 6 months ago, we were enemies. Now we're building something together." "That was always the goal," Okonkwo said. "We didn't want to rule the galaxy. We wanted to be part of it." There was another knock. Dr. Marcus Webb entered, accompanied by a Vraxian scientist named Thesic. They were working together on joint research projects, combining human innovation with alien knowledge. Webb looked healthier than he had in months. "Working on creation instead of destruction," agreed with him. "We have a breakthrough," Webb said excitedly. "Thesic's people have shield technology that's thousands of years old. Our quantum weapons can bypass it because we designed them to. But what if we combined the two? Shields that can handle both traditional weapons and quantum torpedoes. We could make the entire galaxy safer." Thesic's scales rippled, and what humans had learned was a sign of agreement. "Your species thinks in ways we never considered. You see problems as challenges to overcome rather than accepting limitations. It's refreshing." "It's necessary," Webb said. "We had to innovate because we were behind. Now we're sharing that innovation with everyone." This was happening across the galaxy. Human medical knowledge combined with Ythrian crystal technology was revolutionizing healthcare. Kravik engineering with human AI produced construction methods that could build space stations in weeks instead of years. The younger species that had been clients under the old council were flourishing without the restrictions that had held them back. But not everyone was happy about the changes. In a private residence on the avian homeworld, High Arbiter Zalthun, no longer in power, met with other elder species leaders. They gathered in secret, away from human surveillance. "This cannot stand," a Korthan elder said, his 4 arms crossed in frustration. "Humans have been in space for less than a decade. Now they dictate galactic policy. It's absurd." "It's reality," Zalthun said quietly. He had aged in the past 6 months. His silver feathers were dull, his eyes tired. "We had 10,000 years to build something fair. Instead, we built an empire. Humanity tore it down in 3 days. Then we should rebuild," the Korthan pressed. "Gather forces. The humans can't watch everywhere at once." "No," Zalthun said firmly. "I've studied what humans are capable of. I've read their history. Did you know they had weapons capable of destroying their own planet 200 years ago? They built bombs that could vaporize cities, missiles that could end all life on Earth. And they chose not to use them. They learned restraint." He stood up, looking at the other elders. "That's what makes them dangerous. They have the power to destroy us all, and they choose mercy instead. But make no mistake, if we threaten them again, that mercy will end. We saw what they did in 3 days. Imagine what they could do in 3 years if we forced them to." The meeting ended with no conspiracy, no rebellion. The elders went home to their worlds, accepting that the age of their dominance was over. A new era had begun, led by the youngest spacefaring species in the galaxy. On Mars, reconstruction had begun. The ruins of Colony 7 were being cleared, and a memorial was being built. 50,000 names would be carved into black stone, a reminder of what started the war and why the peace mattered. Dr. Webb stood at the construction site, his hand resting on the memorial's foundation. His daughter's name would be on that wall. A small Ythrian child, her crystal body glowing softly, approached him. She was with her parent, part of an exchange program where different species spent time on human worlds and vice versa. She looked up at Webb with curious, multifaceted eyes. "Why are you sad?" she asked in carefully learned English. Webb knelt down to her level. "I lost someone here. Someone very important to me." "The war?" the child asked. "Yes, the war." The child's glow flickered thoughtfully. "My teacher says humans are very strong, that you can do impossible things. Sometimes," Webb said, "when we have to. But you're also very kind," the child continued. "You helped fix my homeworld's power systems. You share your medicine. You protect smaller species from bigger ones. That's not what strong people usually do." Webb felt tears forming. Out of the mouths of children, he thought. No, it's not. But that's what we're trying to be. Strong enough to protect, kind enough to help. The child's parent approached and apologized for the interruption, but Webb shook his head. No apology needed. "She's right." He looked at the memorial again, then at the child. "We fought a war so that people like you could grow up safe. That's worth remembering." In the Senate chambers, Ambassador Okonkwo prepared for the 6-month anniversary session. Representatives from all 47 species were gathering to review the new system and vote on its permanent adoption. Some would vote yes enthusiastically, others would do so reluctantly. But Okonkwo was confident the vote would pass. He'd prepared a speech, but as he stood at the podium looking at the assembled delegates, he decided to speak from the heart instead. "6 months ago we were at war," he began. "The Council provoked Earth," we responded. The galaxy trembled. "But here's what I want everyone to understand. We didn't fight that war to become the new Council. We fought it so there would never be another Council. So that no species would ever again have to choose between servitude and extinction." He paused, letting the words sink in. Yes, humanity demonstrated superior military power. Yes, we have weapons that can destroy planets. But power without wisdom is tyranny. Earth learned that lesson the hard way over thousands of years of our own history. We don't want to rule you. We want to work with you. A Drellian delegate stood up. "But you still hold the military advantage. What happens when humans decide they want more than partnership? Then you do what we did," Okonkwo replied. "You resist. You fight. You remind us that freedom matters more than safety, and if we become tyrants, then we deserve to fall just like the Council did." He gestured to Admiral Chen, standing at the back of the chamber. "Our military commander is a woman who cried when we had to destroy Council ships, who insisted on taking surrenders rather than obliterating enemies, who designed our entire strategy around minimizing casualties even among those who threatened us. That's who leads Earth's forces. Not a conqueror. A protector." The vote was called. One by one, species cast their decision. The final count was unanimous. The Galactic Senate would continue, with humans holding no special privileges beyond their seat and vote. The age of empire had ended. The age of cooperation had begun. After the session, Chen found Okonkwo in his office. "We did it," she said. 6 months ago, we were preparing for possible extinction. Now we're building a better galaxy." "We did," Okonkwo agreed. "But the work isn't over. Peace is harder than war. We have to maintain this every day." "Worth it, though," Chen said. "My children will grow up in a universe where humans are respected, not because everyone fears us, but because we earned that respect." Dr. Webb joined them, fresh from Mars. "The memorial is almost complete. I was thinking we should invite representatives from all species to the dedication. Let everyone see what we're trying to prevent from happening again." "Good idea," Okonkwo said. "Remind people why the peace matters." They stood together, 3 humans who had helped reshape galactic civilization. They'd shown the galaxy what humanity was capable of when pushed. Now they had to show what humanity was capable of when given a chance. Years later, a young human child asked her grandfather about the war. He was an old man now, Admiral Chen's son, and he'd lived through those turbulent days. He told her about the Council's arrogance, about Mars Colony 7, about the 3-day war that changed everything. "Were the aliens scared of us?" the child asked. "Yes," he said. "They were terrified. Are they still scared?" He thought about that, about the mixed crew serving on starships, about the joint research projects. about the Ythrian child who was his daughter's best friend, about the galaxy that his generation had helped build. No, he said finally.
Now they're our friends.
And that's so much better than being feared. The child seemed satisfied with that answer. She ran off to play with her alien friends, growing up in a universe that her grandfather's generation had fought to create. A universe where humanity's greatest achievement wasn't the weapons they'd built or the wars they'd won, but the peace they'd chosen to maintain. High Arbiter Zalthun lived out his remaining years on his homeworld, writing memoirs that became required reading in the new Galactic Academy. His final words, recorded before his death, were simple and honest. We thought ourselves apex predators because we'd forgotten what predators look like. Humanity reminded us, then they taught us something more important. Predators can choose to be protectors instead. That's not weakness, that's wisdom. I only wish we'd learned that lesson before we forced them to teach it to us. The galaxy remembered the war, but more importantly, it remembered the peace that followed. Earth had proven it could destroy. Now it spent every day proving it could create, and the galaxy was better for it.